class is in session. I'm really giving Mrs. Doubtfire vibes with these glasses on, hey? Oh no, I lost my tabs.
For anyone struggling with dementia, do not drink cold water.
Don't drink cold water if you have dementia? Starting strong today. I haven't even read the title yet. Stop it with this AI garbage.
What if I told you there's a simple memory trick that can help rewind dementia, or even Alzheimer's, and it has nothing to do with pills or surgery? Sounds too good to be true, right?
Because it is.
That's what I thought too, until I met my cousin at Christmas. She looked amazing. I couldn't believe how clear-headed and mentally agile she was. Despite being over 70, she seemed as mentally quick as she was in her 20s. I asked her what her secret was, and she told me about this rewind dementia trick that changed her life.
Fuck all the way off. Anyway, I literally cannot. So you might be wondering, David, why have you brought me here in your glamorous non-binary chic? That's right, I thought I would dress up in my teachery vibes. Also, the nails match the makeup. If you have seen any of the other videos from this recording day, you know that I just live, laugh, love this. And I mean, don't you too? That's how I do my thumbnails. Okay. You know that I'm very jazzed by that, but if you're not jazzed by that, you don't have a soul. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. Right. I got into my professional-ish chic. I have not worn a tie in so long. I tied it on the first try, which was impressive. It's been years. And there was a time in my life where I was interested in wearing ties, but I was too obese for that, and none of my shirts could close around my thick neck. Don't worry, my thyroid's fine. Anyway, my teacher cosplay is not just for funsies, even though it is for funsies. Today we're going to be looking at a creator by the name of John Stossel. Me when I Stossel, mind if I Stossel. And the video we're going to be reacting to is called Why Students Are Miserable, the Coddling of the American Mind. So the description reads, many colleges no longer teach critical thinking. They teach censorship and victimhood. Why are we starting a sentence with the word and? Somebody needs to go back to grammar school, honey. Honey, have you ever heard of grammar, honey? These ideas make students depressed and anxious. Yeah, I'm depressed and anxious, but for an entirely different reason, Josh. John Jingleheimer Schmidt? Okay, Josh, I don't know why I keep saying Josh. John Stossel. I can't stop saying it. John Stossel. Jesus Christ, David, stop saying that. If you scroll down a bit, it says Stossel's economic programs have been adapted into teaching kits by a nonprofit organization called Stossel in the Classroom. High school teachers in American public schools now use the videos to help educate their students on economics and economic freedom. They are seen by more than 12 million students every year. As a university-educated educator myself, I'm very interested to see how this is going to turn out. So I'm going to slide over, we're going to roll the intro, and we're going to see why students are miserable. I have a few guesses myself, but I don't think we're going to uncover that here with John Stossel. Say it with me. John Stossel, John Stossel, John Stossel. Dismantling Hate starts now. Okay, everybody, get your Stossels out. I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are with John Stossel.
The body pod lets you easily understand what is the fastest way to reach your health and...
Good God. Don't participate in the ad hominem fallacy, David. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Anyway, so many ads that I get for these kind of garbage videos are also garbage ads. Like the ad before this said that you could reverse dementia with one simple memory trick, and it was this AI generated video of a grandma on a bench talking about her sister Jane who had dementia, but now she's like a 20-year-old again. Like it's Mama, this is garbage. Okay, let's go.
Over the past 10 years, many colleges went mad. They charge students big bucks and then make them feel guilty. This is what happened to Lucy Cross Williams at Stanford.
I was anxious. I felt guilty constantly. I couldn't stop thinking about the whole white privilege thing.
Kim Katiti attended the Art Institutes of California.
I feel like I lost my life for like 6 years.
This new documentary, The Coddling of the American Mind, argues that today more young people are anxious and depressed.
We do really have to say, I do really just have to slow down and take a moment and pause and wonder, and maybe ask you, why do you think the pacing of this is so fast? Like, we were talking about white privilege and losing your life, but what was the reason? What's the reason behind all of this? Are we actually going to get into it? My guess is no, because folks like this usually just like rapid fire these, dog whistle terms that perk Republicans' ears of like, oh yeah, white privilege? I hate that too. This is very formulaic in terms of editing.
As adults at their schools brainwashed them.
I was full of self-confidence when I was 18, but while I was in college, that disintegrated.
Kimmy was taught she was a victim.
I was introduced to ideas such as microaggressions.
Have you heard or even said any of these common microaggressions? Wow, you're so articulate. Can I touch your hair?
I began to see myself through the lens of Black and a woman. If I see someone like coming up with their dog, for example, and the dog's barking at me, I could interpret that as a racist microaggression.
Oh, fuck off. Not the dog barking. I was gonna say that, like, I am as white as they come. My foundation shade is porcelain, Mary, so I have no experience with racism, at least on the receiving side. I'm sure I've made microaggressive comments to people of color before without even knowing it, right? Yeah, dogs is a different kind of like microaggressions exist, and people have been microaggressive to me in terms of queerness and gender identity and femininity and all of that. So they do exist and they are real and they can be harmful. But this narrative of like you weren't a victim until you were taught your victimhood by these woke liberals in college, it just, is that possible that happened for this young woman? Absolutely. But is it the most common occurrence? I would argue no. This is weird, hey?
Part of both the dog and the dog walker. And I was like, the world's a lot darker than I thought it was. In order to kind of compete.
Yeah, well, the more that you learn, the more depressing the world becomes. I can definitely relate to that going through university education. Definitely needed to change my medication when I started that master's program, man, because knowledge is power, but knowledge is also depressing when you lack the power to follow through with actually making change, which is why we're here in this video.
Get the best grades. I sort of showed how much of a victim I was in order to impress my professors.
She thought that was wrong, but she didn't push back.
I thought, I'm paying a lot, so they're definitely teaching me like the golden rules for life.
Those rules included
the screaming liberal. That was good. That was good. It was stupid and manipulative to put that in there, but it was funny. Oh, this guy again.
During speech by conservatives like Ben Shapiro. Kimmy joined the mob trying to get Shapiro's posts blocked on Twitter.
Yeah, I probably would do the same thing.
Kept sending complaints to Twitter's censors.
I would sit down.
Oh, yeah, this is old. Only community notes now. Let the uneducated fight for themselves.
All the way through the night. I'll try again. I'll try again.
At Stanford, Lucy was taught that Shapiro's ideas put Black, brown, trans, queer, Muslim students at risk.
My first thought was like, this is extreme. This is ridiculous. And then there was the, well, you're privileged, you're white.
She was taught that a good person...
I didn't read too many books by white authors or listen to the wrong kind of music. I was really torn on rap because I didn't know if that was appropriation or appreciation.
To be accepted, she changed the way she spoke.
When I started to use the vocabulary of like marginalized, intersectional, hegemonic, blah, 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 people just kind of smiled a little bit more. And
Oh, God. Like we've heard this before, of course. It's interesting because those words actually do mean something and they can be used in an appropriate way where you're not trying to like dog whistle your way into acceptance like she's describing here. Yeah, sometimes these words are used a little bit flippantly, and I know that I've done that before many, many times, including and not including time spent on this channel. Like I think this is episode 91, 92 of Dismantling Hate. So I know I've definitely done that in a video before without actually having a nuanced understanding of what those words mean. And that's a valid point. That doesn't mean that those words are useless when they are used. Intersectionality is absolutely a thing. Yeah, you can't. It's late and I wasn't going to film this video, but then when I thought about putting this on, it really sold me. So I'm a little lost for some. Anyway, let's keep going.
feeling like I was part of an in-group.
But a few years later, she concluded
These set of thought processes was really unhealthy and was making me miserable.
Do we know that though? Do we know if it's unhealthy? It might have been making you miserable, but maybe we should be unpacking why that miserability happened versus just trying to get rid of what makes us uncomfortable.
Teach students that they're fragile and in constant danger and can be permanently harmed by words. This is not a kind or compassionate thing to teach people.
Greg Lukianoff
Oh, it's so bad.
co-wrote The Coddling of the American Mind. Years
I
ago,
have that book, but I've never read it. It makes me want to read it. Well, it makes me not want to read it, but it makes me want to read it for more context.
he suffered from suicidal depression. Therapy helped him, but now
I'm looking on campus and I'm like, wow, it's kind of like administrators are telling students to catastrophize, to do all these things that I was taught not to do.
this is amplified by required courses that divide students into oppressed or oppressor.
Colleges provide websites and phone numbers so students can report people who offend them.
And lots of people offend them.
In 2012, there was none of this.
Coddling co-author Jonathan Haidt.
And by 2014, 2015, there was a lot of it.
Put our protection right now!
At this college, they
Basically took the president of the university hostage. They wouldn't even let him go to the bathroom. It wasn't about learning.
Did he deserve it though? No, I think it's really this is an interesting conversation because they're kind of framing this as just a handful of years ago. Back when I was a kid, things were different and everybody was happy, which I don't think was the case. I think these disenfranchised folks, I think black people were just quieter about injustices. I think queer people were just quieter about injustices. But now you do have to reach a boiling point of like, this has to stop. This is garbage. You cannot treat human beings like this based off of things that they cannot control. So if you back somebody into a corner, how do you expect them to react any other way than just screaming in your face? Now, screaming in your face, is it appropriate? Necessarily, not necessarily, but is it satisfying? Probably. I've never done it. Maybe I should try. Maybe I should go find where this man lives. Stossel.
Exposure to ideas. It was about this battle between good and evil.
This new censorship was supposed to help minorities, but they too were often punished. Saeed Malami spoke at a protest.
I go up there.
Look at the bag that's beside them. I don't know if that's a bag, but I love those colors.
Cool with myself. It was like, blackness is not a skin color. It's an attitude to life. If you're white, you can be black. If you're black, you can be purple. Whatever it is, I'm like, everyone can be black. And what happened after that, a lot of people I thought I was tight with just stopped talking to me.
So instead of saying, I'm no victim, he shut up.
What I thought to be true, I would keep in my head and then say something else.
Doing that makes other students dumber.
Other people challenging us make us...
Sorry, am I just dumb? I did not understand the sentience of what that person just said or why that's included here. Do you? Let me know in the comments if you know what that meant.
Smart. Cancel culture is like a way of shooting yourself in the brain.
For Kimmy, it
Oh yeah, you know that, yeah.
It was when she went to a skate park in a conservative neighborhood.
Are they going to hate that a black woman's in their territory? Will they literally pick up a skateboard and attack me?
The park was in Orange County, California.
I was afraid of Orange County to begin with, just because it was notoriously conservative. So just going into Orange County was kind of scary for me.
But at the park, Kimmy found the county was not evil as she'd feared.
This was a really great place. That was when...
There is something to be said about projecting negative experiences based off of what other people have told you when you're entering certain spaces like this. But ultimately, it all depends on time and place, right? Like in the right place at the right time, the wrong place at the wrong time, any of that stuff. Like it could have been good, it could have been bad. It doesn't really say anything generally, though. This is one specific anecdotal thing.
I knew there was a way that I was looking at the world that wasn't right. I was the one inflicting pain on myself, and it was robbing me of happiness.
So is she just saying that racism doesn't exist? Is that the subtext of her argument here?
It's really important to have great sympathy for younger people today because they're just doing what older people are telling them. Like this idea that they're always in constant danger, that words will permanently harm them. And
But what do people like this, like what does a basic white man like this get out of saying to a black person racism doesn't exist? Right? What benefits might this person be privy to if racism doesn't exist? Spoiler alert, it does. Get bent. Like it just this is something else, and there's only a minute left. Ugh.
Much more fragile than they actually are.
When I was a social justice advocate, I was tired, miserable, pessimistic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So am I. Well, no, not generally, but sometimes I do get worked up, and I'm a little bit miserable based off of what I watch here, especially on the Dismantling Hate series, and that's natural. But just because something makes you miserable and uncomfortable doesn't mean you turn away and ignore it and hope it goes away. It just gets bigger and more powerful. A lot of things in this world make us uncomfortable and miserable. At some point you still need to face them. So I understand where she's coming from there, but the solution has not been met, in my opinion.
That I'm out of that and I'm thinking for myself. I'm much happier.
I wasn't really sure what the alternative was until a friend sent me a link
to this YouTube channel where black scholars said things she'd never.
I've seen that face specifically before. Who is this? I don't want to.
The whole business of black men being at a unique risk of being killed by white cops is vastly distorted.
I was astonished to find that there were black thinkers writing about race and sharing ideas that
Of course there are. Of course there are people arguing against their own interest. I really don't have any firsthand experience of racism or things of that nature. I do come from the community that benefits from all the privilege possible. I am really at the top. I am just one tick off of the top rung of the patriarchy. It's but I'm white. I look like a man when I need to for safety, etc., etc. I'm pretty much at the top of the privilege pyramid when it comes to that. But people can be manipulated into arguing against their own interest. We've seen this on Dismantling Hate many times. There's transphobic trans people, there's racist black people. Hate can come from anywhere. It doesn't discriminate like some people do.
Heard on campus, this whole new world of ideas was opened up to me, and it was so exciting to feel like I was thinking for myself again.
Coddling is a good introduction to how some of today's schools...
But she just said, I'm thinking for myself, but only after I found these other leaders who are...
students.
I don't know.
This video was just a taste. There's more in the full documentary, and you can find that at thecoddlingmovie.com.
The Coddling of the American Mind. I'm so gagged. I own that book. I'm going to go get it. I bought this book when I was going through a self-help reading moment. Ooh, this makes me want to read this. Paranoid Parenting, The Decline of Play. Ooh. It's funny, online I remember reading reviews of this and people were just ripping it to shreds, and I thought, oh, it looks pretty good. But if it is anything that comes across here, I think I might actually need to should I do a book review of this? Don't make me read 400 pages of this goddamn nonsense. No, it's only 3. Yeah, anyway, so that was the video. It was really nice and short. I just want to take a moment and say how much I appreciate you being here and supporting me, commenting, watching, liking, subscribing, whatever you're doing. If it's one of those things, yeah, if it's all of those things, I appreciate you just the same. I just want to keep talking because I want to keep looking at myself in this mirror because I am fascinated. I want to take this off. It looks so good. Did you know that I matched? I matched. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this episode of Dismantling Hate. It's been a gag, sis, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.